As a rising lightweight sensation, Paddy Pimblett gears up to take on the dangerous Jared Gordon at UFC 282. Fans can't stop talking about his rise at the promotion. He's constantly being compared to the notorious Conor McGregor, who took over the sport a couple of years back. The Liverpudlian also plans on using his fame and success inside the cage to talk about some really important things. Keep watching this video for more on both stories. First up, he's got the basics. Despite the losses, broken leg, and Twitter feuds, Conor McGregor remains the biggest star at the UFC. He's been out for more than a year now, and his name is still being thrown around by multiple fighters in hopes of securing a money fight. And while he might not be the same dominant fighter he was a couple of years back, if we're talking stardom, he's still on top. We're seeing a lot of UFC fighters try to take over like the Irishman, but if we're being honest, only one has caught our attention. We're talking about none other than the 27-year-old lightweight sensation, Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. He's only 3 fights in and already packing arenas and selling out PPVs because of his aggressive fighting style and crazy mic skills. He isn't like the Irishman, of course, who goes berserk with the mic in his hand. Paddy likes to use his wits and humor to get everyone fired up. Whatever it is, it's entertaining and the fans seem to love it. But have you guys ever wondered how Pimblett literally has an entire blueprint to stardom laid down right in front of him and still prefers to be original? We're not going to take any names, but a lot of fighters have tried to copy McGregor, with some of them even stealing his lines. But Paddy? No sir. The Brit likes to keep things original by being himself, charming the crowd with his exceptional striking and wicked mic skills. He's got the basics, but it's still too early to tell whether he can pull off another McGregor. Next, UFC 282 will be crucial. We've already established the fact that Paddy and Conor are both different when it comes to their talk. While the Irishman is a master trash talker, Pimblett likes to keep things light and use his humor to get everyone on his side. But what if we were to look at their fighting skills? Does the Baddy have what it takes to match vintage McGregor's skill level? It's pretty clear he's well past his peak, but let's not forget, guys, this is the same fighter who knocked Jose Aldo out cold in just 11 seconds. His striking was sublime, and he was easily one of the most dangerous fighters on the planet at one time. Now, there's no denying Paddy packs a lot of power, but he tends to get a bit reckless with his fists. Despite winning his first 3 fights at the UFC in under 3 rounds, the Brit still needs a lot of polishing, but he does have the edge over the Irishman. He's very skilled on the mats. He's won via submission a total of 9 times in his professional MMA career, and that's 8 more than Conor. So while the former double champion was definitely more entertaining with his fists, Paddy managed to cover that up with his tap or nap game. In any case, UFC 282 will be crucial for the Liverpudlian. It'll be pretty clear whether he's destined for glory, stardom, and success at the UFC if he manages to knock Gordon out in spectacular fashion at the T-Mobile Arena to keep the hype alive. Moving on, who's at it tougher? We think it's a bit unfair that we're comparing Paddy's early career to a well-established Conor McGregor who ruled the UFC and the world at one point. But even then, we think the Irishman's trajectory was much better after his first 3 fights. Pimblett has fought some really tough fighters, but they weren't exactly the best. On the other hand, the former double champion had to go up against the likes of Max Holloway, Diego Brandao, and Marcus Brimage. Just looking at Max, he went on to become one of the greatest featherweights of all time, and the fact that McGregor fought him so early on in his career shows he's had it tougher. And as the enigmatic 27-year-old gets ready to take on the dangerous Jared Gordon at UFC 282 for his 4th fight, guess who Conor fought? The one and only Dustin the Diamond Poirier. So yeah, if we had to sum it up, the Notorious had to go through some of the all-time greats to go down as the greatest UFC star of all time. Paddy has a lot of potential. He's young and still moving steadily towards his peak. Who knows? He might just end up becoming a massive name in the fight world. But we're going to come clean. We don't think anyone will ever be able to topple the Irishman or even come close to his level of success and rise. Only one other fighter came very close to doing that, and her name was Ronda Rousey. Following up, fighting all sorts of battles. There's a reason why we said Paddy might never come close to Mystic Mac's rise at the UFC. It's not because he won't become famous or popular, it's because he's on a different mission. He doesn't just want to take over and put his people on the map. He wants to advocate for real life issues and help anyone he can through his fighting. After his stunning submission victory over Jordan Leavitt, the Brit took the mic and poured his heart out to a packed O2 arena. His friend Ricky had just committed suicide 2 days before his fight, and you could tell the Baddy was visibly shaken. His heart was pounding, but it wasn't because of the grueling work he had to do to get his 3rd victory. It was because of what he was about to say. The 27-year-old saved thousands of lives that night after he advised everyone going through any mental health issues to come out, talk about it, and get help. It was a really emotional and iconic moment for the sport, since this was the first time in ages we saw someone use the platform to advocate for mental health. That's what we mean when we say he's on a different journey. He wants the money and the titles, but he wants to fight for people. After his moving speech at the O2 Arena, Paddy shared how he had gotten thousands of messages on his social media accounts with people telling him how he saved their lives that night. Up next, an equal opponent. While the baddie continues to help people in need, his next opponent, Jared Gordon, is also in the limelight for being super vocal and public about his drug abuse. Prior to fighting at the UFC, Jared was a drug abuser and just had a really dark life in general. For those of you who've been down a similar path or know someone who has, you probably know what we're talking about. It actually got to the point when Gordon was so deep into drugs that his heart stopped beating for a minute and he had to be resuscitated to bring him back to life. It was at that moment he knew he had to quit, and credit goes to him for finding his inner strength to not just discipline himself, but also make an effort to rescue other people falling victim to their vices. Paddy is super pumped to be fighting Jared since they both share a hunger to help the people around them. Quote, "I respect him so much as a human being. He's a brilliant man. Beaten through, coming through his addiction, what he's come through, and he was legally dead for 2 minutes as well, wasn't he? So it just shows you he's got a purpose being here." Let's see what goes down at 282, guys. We're expecting a high voltage clash between two really dangerous fighters, but we think Paddy has this one in the bag. He has a lot of momentum right now, and Gordon will face the heat as the crowd chants his opponent's name on the night of action. Last but not least, the Paddy Foundation. Paddy is really serious about making a difference and fighting bigger battles outside using his success inside the octagon. He's created the Paddy Foundation to help people going through mental health problems and feed hungry children who don't have enough to eat. It's refreshing to see a UFC fighter constantly trying to find his way to give back to his people and those in need. He's only 27 and has saved thousands of lives, inspiring an entire generation to take up the sport and make the UK a hub for MMA. We're really excited to see him return to the cage on December 11th. It's only time until he starts fighting ranked opponents now. That's it from our side, folks. So what do you think? Will Paddy the Baddie be the next big thing at the UFC? Let us know in the comments below. Please remember, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more exciting videos in the future. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.
A luta que você espera aí ser daqui pra frente, já que você provavelmente não vai lutar com alguém que tenha 19 nocautes no recorde?
Oh, Chris Wade. He just scaled him. All right, Bubba in. He's gonna. He goes around. I don't know, Joe. Oh, he made the elbow.
Weak, lad. That's simple. Know what I mean? I'm the new man, lad.